Hi, my name is Don Merrill, and I want to do a how-to guide for starting and running a Fair Pay Community Kitchen. I want to do this because I've been involved in a well-known Fair Pay Kitchen in Salt Lake for almost 8 years. I got involved with it because I like stuff that helps build community. I like stuff that makes people feel like they're contributing to something bigger that makes things better. I've seen this kitchen work, and I've seen it inspire other people to try the same thing. I think how it does what it does changes lives in a good way. And I think it has and will have a huge impact on how we do business with each other in the future and what that even means. A Fair Pay Community Kitchen is usually a nonprofit, but it's not a soup kitchen or anything like that. A Fair Pay Kitchen is where people decide how much they want to pay for however much they want to eat. And that makes it easy by offering different portion sizes. For instance, let's say you get something. You can have a saucer-sized portion for $5 or a dinner plate-sized portion for $11 or something in the middle. The thing is, you decide how much you want and how much you can afford to pay for it. But the unique thing about a Fair Pay Kitchen is if you want to get the $5 portion and you only have $3, you can still eat. Fair Pay Community Kitchens don't turn anybody away for a couple of dollars. Almost all of the other kitchens around the country are following the model that Denise Soretta came up with in 2004. Back then, her first kitchen was called One World Cafe. She wanted to give people the option to price their own meal, and that idea has a lot of other names. Pay what you want, pay what you can, pay what you're able. She and me talked about it in a YouTube video back in 2006.
Hello.
Hi, Denise. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. First, give me your idea, your vision of the cafe, and then separately give me your conception of the foundation. Cafe first.
Okay. The One World Cafe vision is to provide organic food to whoever wants to eat it, to eliminate waste in the food industry, and to eliminate hunger through our volunteer options, and to build community.
Now, tell me about the One World Everybody Eats Foundation. What is it?
The One World Everybody Eats Foundation is a foundation that I put together that will enable us to put in more cafes worldwide.
Why is that important?
It's important because it's part of our mission to eliminate world hunger, and not just by providing a handout, but a hand up and a way for people to eat really good food that normally couldn't afford it. And these cafes can allow so many more people to pay just a regular, what they would pay in another restaurant, but to get really good pesticide-free, hormone-free, antibiotic-free food.
It was a good thing because people who didn't have a lot of money could still eat. But it was a bad thing because sometimes other people would game us by saying stuff like, well, it was only worth $1 to me, while they came back for seconds and thirds. But almost 9 years later, what is now called One World Everybody Eats has helped almost 24 kitchens across the country open, and we help keep them open with advice and elbow grease and yearly summits. The first one was in New Orleans with about 20 people. The next one was in Santa Fe with about 35 people. The third one was in Denver. At the Denver one, we expected about 80 people. I mean, that's how many RSVP'd. But over 100 people showed up. And everybody who was there was either there because they were working in a kitchen that was up and running, or they wanted to figure out how to get one up and running.
And so I'm looking to set up a cafe up in St. Paul, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So what I'm hoping to do is to get some direction and some ideas on where to look for funding, where to look for a chef, where to look for a building, what I need to, just everything.
I am here, I think this is the ground floor of a movement that's going to sweep the country, and I'm here to meet, to glean information, learn all I can so I can help others down the road who wish to do this.
I came to the summit because the presbytery that I'm working with, I'm a Presbyterian pastor, is exploring the possibility of opening a pay-as-you-can cafe in New Haven. And so I came to meet more people who are already doing this, to find out what problems people have encountered. Maybe we can stave off some of those problems on our project, to continue to get inspired around this, to figure out practically speaking how we do it. When I share with people our ideas, their number one question is, yeah, from a business perspective, how does that work?
The idea of helping people get what they need for what they can afford isn't a new one. There are a few places around that have been doing what these kitchens are doing, and they've been doing it for a lot longer. One World just took the idea mainstream, and there are different ways of doing it too. In 2007, Radiohead let people pay what they wanted for their album In Rainbows. Now, Ed O'Brien, who's the guitarist and backup vocalist for Radiohead, told Stephen Colbert last year that they sold fewer albums, but they made more money by letting people set their own price. In 2010, the Panera Bread Company launched something called Panera Cares, where select delis let people pay what they can afford. It opened its third. John Bon Jovi just opened his Soul Kitchen in New Jersey, based on the One World model. And most recently, Progressive Insurance has introduced a set-your-own-price for your own policy package. Now, these are examples of another option, or at least a complement to the current economic system we have right now. Fair pay, pay what you can, is also based on free will and the personal choice of its participants, but it attacks the issue of supply and demand from a completely different direction. I believe in this, and that's why I need your help. I'm asking you to support my idea to help other people feed people and build community with a guide. You know, the UN says more than 1 billion people worldwide are hungry, and the Department of Agriculture says 50 million of them are right here in the U.S. Personally, I don't think 20 fair pay kitchens is enough. I think there are a lot of people who have the passion to open a kitchen and feed their neighbors at a community table but don't know how. But I know how, and my guide can show them how. I wrote a guide back in 2007 and put it up on the One World website. That's the guide that's up on the One World website right now. And except for a few minor changes, it is essentially the same guide. But the guide I'm proposing will have a lot more detail. And what will my guide give them? It'll give them some help on how to select a space. It'll help show them how to find used professional kitchen equipment and test it to make sure it works. It'll help them understand what the city requires in terms of zoning or codes or handicap access. But most of all, it'll include stories of people already running kitchens. It'll tell of their failures and their successes that they can use as a roadmap for their own kitchen. And maybe just as important, it'll explain a little about the community. I mean, there are people who will never say they support you, but fiercely do. And there are people who say they do, but really don't. My guide will help potential pay-what-you-want kitchens tell the difference. And I'll include some research to back all that up that's just now starting to look at the whole pay-what-you-want phenomenon. And then there are the surprises. More than once, someone walked in off the street and paid One World's utility bills for the month. No reason. More than once, somebody who was tattered and hungry in January showed up in June with a job and said we were the reason. More than once, a city utility crew would come by and see us trying to fix something and fix it for us, just because. And more than once, a mother would come to the kitchen with a couple of kids, eat, and we would never see them again. We could only hope we gave them what they needed while they were on their way to what we hoped was a better life. Those are some of the things that will be in my guide. I want to close with a story. A man wanted to know the difference between heaven and hell, and so an angel took him to a banquet room that was full of some of the most delicious food you can imagine. And everybody was sitting around the table, and everyone had one of these long-handled spoons, but everyone was angry and crying and starving because the spoons were too long. They couldn't feed themselves. And the angel said, "This is hell." And then he took the man to another banquet room. Same table, same people, same long-handled spoons, but here everyone was laughing and happy and well-fed. And it was because they were using the long-handled spoons to feed each other. And the angel looked at the man and said, "This is heaven." I hope you support it, and thanks for watching.